I guess these videos about the China Quandary are not for nothing. The fundamental question in the beginning was whether the US would choose for their banking system or would choose for preserving the wealth that was amassed by China. China has gotten the message. It has realized that the US is inflating the currency and thereby reducing the value of the trillions of dollars that China has as a monetary reserve. Also, China is a little bit tired of the fact that the US dollar is controlled by the US, one single country, while they also maintain that it should be used for international trade around the world. That's global dominance by the US, and it is really starting to hurt China, because they have been very nice to borrow money from the US. US position in this is that they say that China basically abused the fixation of the value of their currency vis-à-vis the other world currencies. They kept the exchange rate low, which made the Chinese good very cheap, which in turn resulted in the massive growth of China. And now they say that China wants to kind of escape, have a win-win situation by also trying to use the dollars that they purchased. I'm not really sure that that's a fair kind of analysis, because China, after all, if you look at the container stream around the world, and I used to work in a container business, there's piles and piles of empty containers in LA coming into America, and not in China. You won't find them in China because they're being filled in China and they move to the US. So these goods are moved to the US. That's true value, and in return China gets empty containers to fill up and lots of dollars. So who's been serving who, one might wonder. So China proposed to go to a new reserve currency under the auspices of International Monetary Fund, but sadly the US is not buying it. They don't want it. Then you can move to a next step, which is, maybe you want to have your own gold-based currency, and that will always be as good as any reserve currency as long as it's gold-backed. But there China runs into another problem, which is that they don't have too much gold reserves. And the country with the most gold reserves, theoretically, because we're not sure, nobody has looked into Fort Knox for the last, 20 years or something, but it's still the US. Max Kaiser gives this information about the gold reserves, and he says, well, basically China doesn't have enough gold to create their own currency, gold-backed currency, to get a start. And if you look in the Financial Times today, you'll find that China is trying. Basically, it's funny because Peter Schiff's a couple of weeks ago, or maybe 1.5 months ago, he was in the Middle East and he said, if you really are smart, then as a country, then you buy gold mines at the moment, because then you can always dig your gold out of the ground, your own gold, and you'll be able basically to control the price, because the gold mines are very cheap at the moment. Anyway, I think some Middle East countries might have done that, oil-based countries. Of course, the oil-based countries also have something to offer, basically oil. So they can make deals with countries saying, okay, I want to buy your gold mine, but then of course this behind the scenes deal being made that there will be cheap oil for these countries. China has tried to buy the oil mines in Australia now, and a large number of the projects or the operations of the oil mine is about gold. It's copper and it's zinc, it's all kinds of base materials, and this deal has been denied by Australia based on the fact that the gold mines are on the military territory. That's true, because it's a strategic asset of a country, their reserves, their resources. But of course we live in a real world where countries can get very agitated towards each other and just move into each other's country and take the stuff if they want to, if they are powerful enough. And sadly China is now a little bit herded into a corner where they cannot get true value for their dollars. They cannot move over to new reserve currency around the world. They cannot start their own reserve currency, and they cannot find a basis for a reserve currency by buying gold mines. That's tragic. Maybe this will end up in war.